In 2004, the original Battlefront released on the Xbox and PS2, and it was a chaotically fun game that I think my two older brothers really enjoyed playing. The problem was I wasn't even 3 yet, so there was no shot my parents were going to let me rot away in front of the TV all day. They had to wait a couple more years for me to do that myself. When my brothers left to play on the shiny Xbox 360, I was left with the PS2. I had LEGO Star Wars, NHL, 2K, and Star Wars Battlefront II. By the first month, Battlefront quickly began to overshadow everything. Since I've been alive, for 20 years, Battlefront has stolen my heart. Battlefront 2 defined a generation of gaming, and more importantly, the people playing it. To this day, there is still content being generated around this game due to BF2's amazing community. So shout out to all of you. This video cannot do justice what you've done to keep this game in our minds and in our hearts. So thank you. And without further ado, let's jump into instant action.
Just like the simulation.
Instant action is the core of Battlefront 2. It's the original Sandbox, and everything comes out of these few modes. Everything in this game is given to you right from the start. Most of the planets from the original and prequel trilogies are here, with the ability to play as all four major factions during that era. Conquest is the simple team deathmatch type game. Then there's modes like Capture the Flag and Hunt. Hunt is really stupid. Good stupid. It can be Ewoks versus Scout Troopers on Endor, or Jawas versus Tuskens on Mos Eisley. It's a very simple goof around mode. Heroes and Villains is that goof turned up to 11. Fighting in the streets of Mos Eisley as Boba Fett or Luke Skywalker is amazing, as you're able to fly halfway across the map to take down an unaware AI. There is so much power on each side, but it doesn't feel cheap. Being able to implement modes like these showed that these people really cared about the game they were trying to make. Then there's space combat. If I said this is the best space content in this style of game, would I be lying? I don't think so. Everything is smooth and steady. The ability to jump in and out of a starfighter and back into the third-person gameplay is very immersive, and is something games haven't been able to figure out since. Destroying ships isn't the only way to win the match, as you're able to blow up the escort frigates to gain points, or sabotage the ship from the inside. This flexibility creates different avenues to complete your objective, and that given freedom opens up the sandbox to greater heights. No such height is greater than Galactic Conquest.
And this is what we call a double tap.
Galactic Conquest is a simple premise. Conquer the galaxy. I never knew something so simple could be so addicting. Carefully planning out your route against an AI that constantly tries to annoy the shit out of you by attacking in space or invading Naboo for the millionth time. Being able to select which units you buy and what bonuses you equip really can create a whole bunch of different experiences in a sandbox that's pretty small. For those of you interested, the Cobalt Tux experience is Republic sovereignty, only infantry, and 3 garrisons all at the same time. It's not the most challenging, but it's definitely fun. Taking each planet feels rewarding, and defending against a counterattack can be exhilarating. That is if you play on Elite, at least for me. Like I've said, I've been playing this game for a very long time, so it's a breeze to do anything in this game. But that's not the point. The point is that when Galactic Conquest ends, it ends in one way. But the road to reach that takes many, many different paths in order to end up at your destination. That's the beauty of this type of game mode. I hope Galactic Conquest returns to a Star Wars game soon, but I don't think it will happen. 2042 is a broken piece of hardware sold for $60, and they're currently gaslighting the fans, so let's say I don't exactly trust EA or DICE to make it.
What I remember about the rise of the Empire is how quiet it was.
I have a very finite view of how campaigns should feel. I enjoy playing single player games like Fallout and Tomb Raider, and I'm a self taught writer, so I think I have some experience with stories. But story isn't always the most important thing. It can be a lot of the time, but how you present those stories in a meaningful way, that's where things like the director, the cinematographer, and editor all come into play. But what happens if you're not working with almost none of that? Rise of the Empire, Battlefront II's campaign, is a story that takes you through the rise of the Empire. It's a pretty straightforward narrative used to blend in the bigger story of Episode 3. The entire narrative is a journal, the 501st Journal, narrated by the clone's original actor, Tamora Morrison. Now, I don't want to sound hyperbolic when I say this, but the 501st Journal is the best written piece of Star Wars material ever put to page. Michael Stemmel wrote a masterpiece. Tamora Morrison gave an outstanding performance, and the editor of it all simply put related gameplay with a darkened filter. Not everything has to be high budget. Sometimes going in small is the best way to complete an action. This story wasn't planned, and yet it's still the best piece of Star Wars content in 17-ish years for me. I implore any film club or class to look at how such a simple idea can be so effective.
It's a good thing we were wearing helmets, because none of us could bear to look her in the eye.
I love a lot of games. The Modern Warfare trilogy, Minecraft, the Fallout series, The Old Republic. But there's a reason that Battlefront II is my favorite game of all time. It's the game I grew up with, and I guess I live with now. I once thought that games will always continue to get better as the years go on. And that may be true in terms of technology, but Battlefront and games like that in that generation have heart. Battlefront 2 was made in a limited time frame and has more soul than its counterpart made 12 years in the future. That's not to mark the 2017 version, but I feel the resolve and time that these people had in making something they loved, and that needs to continue to be recognized. If you and a buddy still have the time, and you still have a disc, throw it into the Xbox One and experience the magic one more time.